season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think in a weird way that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's the early line. It's a Friday morning. It's time to rise and grind. It's a football Friday, and oh my goodness, the amount of football we have to go over today, it's insurmountable. Or is it? You know what's going to happen over the next 2 hours. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri are going to carry you through with the hottest topics across the sports landscape, which includes playoff baseball yesterday, 3 elimination games, which turns into 4 more games of Saturday baseball as we start the divisional series. Last night, a guaranteed easy victory for the Los Angeles Rams turned into a loss and an impressive performance out of Mac Jones and the 49ers offense, whoever was out there at this point. I love it when you can just look at a game and say, this is going to be a guarantee, and it doesn't turn out that way. Joe, I'm excited for today's show. We don't have to play armchair quarterback because we got so many previews to get to today. But my goodness, that game on Thursday night had everything, didn't it? Whew, man.
That game had everything. Even 2 of the 3 Major League Baseball games had a lot going on there yesterday. And look at that. The Tigers finally have overcome their demons and got past the Guardians finally. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. And on Fridays, look, the energy is always high, as we know, but we do work for the weekend, and the weekend is just about here. So when we take a look at sure things in football, it's time to get to a little caffeinated Joe for him to explain to us exactly why nothing is a guarantee.
Oh, Donnie, there's a lot of people waking up here this morning that may have not watched what happened last night. What happened last night is a great lesson for every single person who bets on the NFL. And that lesson is simple. There is absolutely no such thing as a no-chance game. And when you look at last night, the San Francisco 49ers on the road on a short week, no Brock Purdy, no Nick Bosa, no George Kittle, no starting receivers, pretty much nobody anybody has ever heard of. The line balloons up to 9 points. The total plummets all the way down to 43. The entire world, the entire market, every expert is screaming, the Rams are going to blow this team out of the building. It was a lock, right, Donnie? Right? We always say, oh, it's a lock. Yeah, wrong. Yeah, so what happened last night? Well, a backup quarterback in Mac Jones put on an absolute clinic-like performance last night. Throws for almost 350 yards, no picks. Does take a beating, but you know what? His team rallies around him. A guy who wasn't even on the roster to start the year, and Kendrick Bourne pulls out his Jerry Rice impersonation and has a career night with 10 catches. The defense, missing its best player, comes up with a game-saving goal line fumble recovery and then a game-winning 4th and 1 stop in overtime. That is just absolutely unreal. And it is a good reminder that the better team, the healthier team, doesn't necessarily mean anything is guaranteed in the NFL. These big boys on the other team, they get paid checks too to perform and to live up to their potential. So the lesson is simple. It's the NFL. These are the best football players in the world. On any given Sunday or Thursday, a well-coached, motivated team, even of backups, can absolutely beat a more talented team that makes mistakes and shoots themselves in the foot. So the next time you see a massive injury report and think a game is a no-brainer, remember last night, especially before you run to the window, Donnie, and lay your money down on the Houston Texans this Sunday against the banged-up Ravens.
Mash units here. You're not supposed to go on the road on a Thursday night without half of your football team and beat a division rival that's perceived as better than you and also more talented and healthier. Well, it just happened last night, 26-23, which brings us to the early lineup. Those hot topics, we'll start right there on Thursday night in Los Angeles. 26-23 victory for the San Francisco 49ers over the Los Angeles Rams. That's all. Mac Jones got to start again. Boy, what's that going to do for us? I don't know. 33 of 49 for 342, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions here. And by the way, Matthew Stafford in a losing effort, 389 passing yards and 3 touchdown passes here. What an offensive explosion last night, and an overtime game which saw the San Francisco 49ers seize hold of the NFC West, now at 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in many aspects, the Rams won that game in many different ways. Should have won that game, could have won the game. But once again, Donnie, the extra point blocked, missed field goal, special teams continues to be a problem. You fumble twice inside the red zone. You just, even as healthy as you are and better as you are, you still need to play flawless football in the NFL.
How about this? Terry McLaurin banged up there with a quad injury, going to sit out once again this week versus the Chargers. A key offensive weapon is out there, but maybe a key offensive weapon coming back in Jaden Daniels for the Commanders.
Yeah, well, Jaden Daniels, from all indications, pretty good to go here, but continues to have some other injuries across the board on his team. McLaurin, I think, that's a pretty big loss here because, again, coming into this season, he got the new contract. He kind of was the safety valve for Daniels, so we'll see how he does without him in his first go.
Talking about without him, who's actually playing on the Baltimore Ravens defense this weekend? Super safety Kyle Hamilton joins Lamar Jackson as the Ravens miss practice with multiple guys as they try to take on the Texans this weekend at home.
Tread carefully. Again, we just talked about this. The Ravens, yes, the injuries piling up, but it's a very well-coached team with a lot of guys that have opportunities to get themselves a couple extended contracts here, Donnie. The backups could be getting paid here, and it would not shock me at all if this game is just a whole heck of a lot closer than people think it's going to be.
Come on, Cooper Rush. Send that team total over 19.5. Let's see if we can get it done here. How about getting it done last night? The New York Yankees moving on to the American League Series, the American League Divisional Series after a wild card victory over the Boston Red Sox that saw Cam Schlittler 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, 12 strikeouts. Into Yankee playoff lore he goes. Connerly left early last night, 3 2/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. They couldn't do anything at the plate against Schlittler. He was sensational in a big moment.
I mean, Donnie, that's where, legacies and careers are made in October. And that kid last night who started the season in Double-A, the Yankees, he wasn't even good enough to be on this roster, Donnie, even with Cole going down. It took him a little while to get there, but, man, talk about seizing the opportunity. That's what it's all about. At 24 years old, the Yankees could have a superstar in their hands.
We love the term 76, 1776. What a fantastic year. The Philadelphia 76ers, what a fantastic basketball team. And how about this? 76 teams in the NCAA tournament expected in a few years, Joe. Love to see it. Expansion of the playoff, more meaningful basketball. We will watch and we will love it.
I think what is the phrase, Donnie? Mo teams, mo money? Is that what we're looking at right here? Because I think that's what we're looking at right here. Yes. Unreal.
I love it. Expansion. Love to see it. Come on, man. We'll watch. We'll love it. 12-team round robin tournament. Whatever you want to do, we'll tune in for that, and the ratings will certainly show it. Here's one story, Joe, which I can't get enough of. The PGA, right? The Ryder Cup. We're going to bring it to Bethpage. The fans are going to be involved. Then when the fans get involved, we have to apologize. Stop it. It's sports. When you amp something up as U.S. versus another country, you know the fans are going to get overly excited at this point. Now, do you advocate for throwing drinks on people's and players' family? No, you don't. But you have to understand what you're actually putting out there. The reason why the Ryder Cup, we love it, is because the crowd is different. You know what? I want more of the same crowds at PGA tournaments that boo the hell out of players that miss a putt. Or a player you don't like, let them have it. I love the Ryder Cup. Don't change and don't apologize.
Listen, for as much crap as the players on the European team got, Donnie, you know what? They let their play speak for themselves.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And they got right back at them. So, there's always going to be the unruly ones. But my goodness, I'd much rather have a hyped up crowd than the
golf clap, golf clap, golf clap.
Come on.
Stop the man. I mean, I'm telling you, stop the man. What are you going to do? Apologize in Philadelphia on Saturday night for getting on Shohei Ohtani? Last segment here is the WNBA. I don't even know what they're talking about anymore. Is the season even going at this point? We're going to move on to more important things next, right here on the early line.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three circus sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when to kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe, from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You got to get your spread lines. You got to get your headlines. You got to get your odds, people. It's what we do right here on the early line. We rise and grind. We bring that energy. We set you up for the weekend with information that you need to know. And understanding that when you talk about spread lines, it's headlines and it's spreads and what you need to know. And some of these games might not be on the top of the docket, but my guy Joe Ranieri tees you up for why we're talking about these games. UNLV, Wyoming. What? 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, a 5.5-point opening line, dipping now down to 3.5, a total at 52.5, dipping now down to under 50. The spread line between UNLV and Wyoming, Joe Ranieri, is what?
Well, you just said it, Donnie, right? So ask yourself this. Is the public really running to the window watching a
correct.
Wyoming game? So how does that spread drop 2 points? I'll tell you how. UNLV might be the biggest fraud in the country right now, sitting at 4-0, and they've had one of the most ridiculous schedule of teams thus far. They've beaten, UCLA, Sam Houston State, Idaho State, and Miami of Ohio. Those teams combined, Donnie, 0 wins on the season. And meanwhile, this Wyoming team has played a much tougher schedule, and playing in Laramie is a different ball game than playing in Las Vegas in the Dome, right? The weather is scheduled to be extremely windy in this game. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a totally different atmosphere. That's why you've seen the total begin to drop in this one. Double-digit wind gusts consistently in that game are going to make throwing the ball very difficult for UNLV. Not to mention, Wyoming has gone 13-1 against the number as a conference dog of more than a field goal over the last 10 seasons. They also won 8 of those 14 games, Donnie, outright. This is a real home field advantage. Look to back Wyoming tonight, maybe even sprinkle a little something on the money line, and look at that under. That wind will be howling in Laramie tonight.
Oh, we love college football. And by the way, the next game we're going to talk about is a 12 o'clock start, just in time for SportsGrid college football today, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and a kickoff there between Illinois and Purdue. Setting the table for this one, Joe, open up over double digits, around a 10.5-point spread. It's now under double digits at 9.5 at most outlets. You're looking at the total here, around 54.5 to 55.5. Illinois and Purdue in the Big Ten. The spread line for this game, Joe, is what?
Yeah, well, Illinois bounces back last week with a big win against USC after getting absolutely crushed the week prior by Indiana. This is the quintessential flat spot, Donnie. After having to go through the roller coaster of emotions over the last couple of weeks, the question you have to ask yourself is, and the market has to ask themselves, is which Illinois team is actually showing up. This is a rivalry game going back over the last couple of decades. And oh yeah, by the way, in this series, the underdog has gone 12-6 since 2005. And both of these teams have played really difficult schedules. And yet, Donnie, when you dive into some of the metrics, you're talking about a difference of 0.1 yards per play between these two offenses. 0.1, which means the Boilermakers are going to have a good opportunity to move the ball here on this Illinois defense, and road conference favorites of more than a touchdown coming off that upset win over a ranked opponent. Flat spot, 72, 88-3 against the number over the last 2 decades. Look for Purdue to be a lot closer in this game than people think.
Oh, boy. Let's take a look also at another noon start here. Iowa State and Cincinnati. Oh, isn't that Rocco Beck? This is not a good football team at Iowa State. Look at that. They opened up as the favorites in that ball game. Now, they're no longer the favorites. It's the Cincinnati Bearcats at a -1.5 price point and a total listed at 55.5. Iowa State on the road at Cincinnati. Joe, the spread line here is what?
Well, Iowa State looked pretty good last week, right, at home against Arizona, but they might be running into a brick wall in this game against Cincinnati. First of all, Iowa State has lost not 1 but 2 All-American quarterbacks to season-ending injuries now, and now they have to take on one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country with Brendan Sorsby here and this offense. Iowa State, by the way, has 0 pass rush. It ranks just about dead last in that category. And it's alongside teams like UCLA and North Carolina. That is how little they pressure the quarterback. So how are they going to slow down this red-hot Cincinnati offense? Also keep in mind the kicking game and special teams of Iowa State. Injuries to both the place kicker and the punter are going to get things a little complicated here. I think Cincinnati on the road gets it done, but it wouldn't shock me here if Iowa State loses this game in a big way.
Let's flip it over to the NFL, a game that's going to kick off at 1 o'clock. The Miami Dolphins picked up their first win of the season, taking on the lowly Carolina Panthers here. Now, it looks like they'll be without Chuba Hubbard. The line in this game opened up at 1.5, still sitting at most outlets at 1.5 as a favorite towards Miami. The total, 44.5. Miami, Carolina, Joe. What's the spread line here?
Well, I mean, this flipped, right? So Carolina was originally the favorite, and now all of a sudden Miami is the favorite. Yep. And we got a ton of injuries on Carolina in this one as well. But keep in mind, Donnie, I mean, Carolina last week on the road against New England gets crushed. But you know what they did last time they were home? They shut out a pretty good Atlanta Falcons offense, didn't they? And dropped 30 points on that defense. So to expect the Dolphins at this point now to, yes, okay, congratulations, you beat the Jets. So you got a short week. Now you got to travel in a game that everyone seems to think is very winnable for you. A lot of jobs and a lot of careers are on the line in this game for Carolina. If you can get the 1.5 with the home team and a 6-point teaser, that might not be a bad look for this one, Donnie.
4:05 start on Sunday afternoon. The Tennessee Titans, who don't play very well, according to their quarterback here, taking on the Arizona Cardinals. This line opened up around a touchdown. Now we're seeing 8.5 and 7.5, some differentiating numbers, depending on where you're shopping. A total of 41.5. Tennessee and Arizona, Joe. The spread line here is what?
This is laughable how historically bad this offense of Tennessee is here. What I'm also starting to see, Donnie, in the marketplace is you might as well just start fading the Tennessee team total because this offense is horrific. And from what we're hearing, not getting better anytime soon. Can't be trusted in any way, shape, or form. Cardinals all the way in this one.
I think the key word that was used by Cam Ward was ass. That's their offense right now in the way they're playing. Yeah, we'll see if that continues this weekend, but things aren't looking up and up in that direction. What happened last night in that Thursday night football game? What was Mac Jones wearing after the game? We'll cover that and much, much more right here on the early line.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think in a weird way that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look, I got to go to bed early at night sometimes, Joe Ranieri, because as my job as a host, I have to be refreshed, ready, and give you that energy you need for 2 hours on a Friday morning. So when I woke up and saw the score before I saw the highlights and also went back and watched the second half, what? The San Francisco 49ers 26-23 over the Los Angeles Rams. And the next thing I checked was, how did Mac Jones actually perform in this game? 33 of 49, 342, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's how you get it done. Is he the starter now for the San Francisco 49ers? Here's some video from Mac talking about his stellar performance last night. And woo, look at that outfit.
Before the game, there was a report that Brock could be out a few more games. Do you feel like the starting job, you're the starter now, and that's just the way you have to view it?
I think, they brought me here to play as a backup, and that's my job, and Brock's the starter of this team, and right now he's dealing with something, and for him to go out there last week and play when he probably wasn't at full health, like he cares about this team. So I'm just trying to get some wins for him so it helps us down the line, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Like, I've been in his position, I've been a starter, and you want your backup to go in there and win, because at the end of the season, that could be the hit or miss between a playoff or not. So.
That's not a backup suit right there, Joe. I need more out of this guy. I need the big chain with him saying, this is my football team at this point right now. By the way, can we bring up a little still shot of that video again and not actually play it? Because I need a little concept advice here for the suit that he actually has. Because here's what I have an issue with, Joe. I like the Joker concept that is going on, but you notice the lapel on the jacket?
Yes.
Why isn't it red on the opposite side when it's black on the opposite? You see what I mean? You see what I'm getting at there?
Yep. Yeah.
Look at that.
I don't think
why is it red?
He needs the red half of the belt, but I don't think the shirt came with the suit. I think that's the problem. I think he opted for the plain old black shirt there, but it wasn't a combo deal. But I'm still waiting for him to rip open that jacket and have a giant S on his chest there, Donnie, because my goodness, anybody who saw Mac Jones doing what he did last night, kudos to you. I didn't see it happening. I didn't see, I didn't see Bourne looking like Jerry Rice. There were literally dudes all up and down that team yesterday in that game that I'm going, wait, who is that now? And there were still backups were leaving the game, Donnie, on the defensive side of the ball for the 49ers. Just a all-out effort. One team wanted it, and one team figured out a way to give the game away again. And that team, unfortunately now, twice this season, is the Rams.
If you don't like a football game betting watch, which I didn't like last night because I couldn't figure out what I was getting for the 49ers. But generally, I thought I was going to get less than more from what I got. And also, I'm like, there's no way that he gives Christian McCaffrey 30 touches in this game. He gave him 30 touches on a short work week. There's no way their game plan is Mac Jones go toe-to-toe with a good defense and see what you can do. He threw 49 times in this football game. I understand it went to overtime, but they moved the football up and down the field. When I take a look at Brian Robinson, he's going to get at least 7-8 carries in this game to spell Christian McCaffrey. He only got 5 at this point. But if you told me just box score hunting, Donnie, before the game starts, Stafford's going to throw for 389 and 3 touchdowns. What is this game? 41-17 as a final for the Los Angeles Rams. Devontae Adams going to have 88 yards. Puka Nacua 85 yards. Tutu Atwell 72 yards. Kyron Williams in the passing game 66 yards. How did they lose this football game, Joe? Tell me.
Yeah, well, they're shooting themselves on the foot. I can't figure it out with McVay. Why are you continuing to have special teams issues? How do you get an extra point missed? How do you get a pick block? How does this continue to happen here with the Rams? Because all of those start to add up, and then when Williams can't hold on to the ball, well, then you're giving the 49ers extra opportunities. And by the way, this vaunted Rams defense, they entered that game last night, Donnie. Yeah. Probably top 10 in just about every metric except secondary. What in the world is going on with the Rams secondary there?
Yeah, we talk about that S for Superman. The S is for Shanahan right now. This is the type of coach that you expected all along the way. He's a genius offensive play caller, and when you need that genius to come out is in a game where nobody expects you to win. And you're hamstrung already, pun intended, with so many players injured, but also you're the road team on a Thursday night, the most disadvantaged spot you could possibly be in. And they were really good last night. Now, as you said, Joe, when I ask you, tell me how they lose a football game, we understand how it's done. You miss field goals, you miss extra points, and you fumble 2 times when it looks like they were going to be scoring drives. That's how you lose games. But if you leave the door open, as you said to start the show, there's still professional football players on the other side that are getting paychecks and coaches that are expected to win in big spots. The San Francisco 49ers now 4-1 on the season, in control of the NFC West. Let's get over to some Major League Baseball. What happened last night? A lot of good pitching and a lot of interesting scenarios.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
He came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Signetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Ooh, Major League Baseball yesterday on a Thursday. 3 elimination games across the board. The Tigers, Guardians, the Padres, Cubs, and the Red Sox and the Yankees. The winner moves on. The loser would go home. Game number 1, the Tigers salvaging their season here, crumbling at the end of the year. They didn't even win their division. They had to go on the road to take on the Guardians. Didn't matter. The Tigers won the pivotal. Game number 3, 6-3 over the Guardians, which finally saw the Tigers getting clutch hits with runners in scoring position. They have 6 runs, 10 hits. They were the better ball club here in this series.
Yeah, and they exercise those demons, Donnie, right? I mean, September, that collapse will still remain as one of the most epic ones of all time there. But the 7th inning, they finally broke through there. I think they batted around against the bullpen of the Guardians. And, listen, once you can get over 4 runs, likelihood of that game being over was just that. Although the Guardians did score a couple of empty netters late there to make it somewhat interesting. That final game of the series lands over the total in that 6-3. But Tigers relievers, they did the job there yesterday to get them to the next round. I don't know how long they'll last, but they are going to Seattle.
I'll tell you what the shame of it is, because you know as well as I do, Joe, look, momentum plays a key issue. And nobody was really on the ropes in this game early. But you notice the bottom of the 4th inning. You're down 1-0. Valeri gets the double, followed by Ramirez single. He's on first base. The crowd's whipped into a frenzy. You have the middle of your order up. And I do like aggressiveness, don't get me wrong. But aggressiveness is only great when it works. Ramirez tries to steal second base. He gets caught stealing. Right behind him is another walk. So theoretically, if you just let that play out, first and second, 1-1 game, nobody out, the pressure's on. We don't even know if Flaherty makes it out of that inning. Ends up getting that ground ball double play to get out of it. It's 1-1. Now, still, Cleveland liked the fact that they tied it up. But you know as well as I do, Joe, you tack on early in that game, you shift that momentum, things drastically change from there. But Flaherty was good. But even better was that defense here for the Detroit Tigers. You had the one error, which really let a little bit of hope back for the Guardians in that game, but they quickly closed the door down. Impressive, because when you have a free fall, as you like to say, Joe, one of your caffeinated, don't catch that falling knife. Well, it looks like they caught the falling knife, got a couple stitches. Like, you know what? We'll be okay. Next round, here we come.
Yeah, and that's really all it is. Just got to survive in advance, right? Anything is possible. I still think there are glaring warts here on this Detroit team, but we'll see. Anything is possible, Donnie. You got to make it to the next round, and nobody has been for a bigger roller coaster of emotions than this Detroit team here over the last month and a half, for sure.
Winning with your superstars, Joe. Let's bring up this next series. The Chicago Cubs and the San Diego Padres. Yesterday, final score 3-1, which means the Cubs do advance, and congratulations to them. On to the next round of the divisional series. I'm just going to read you two statistics here of why the San Diego Padres lost this series. Fernando Tatis, .083 batting average. Manny Machado, 100 batting average. Luis Ariz, 182 batting average. There's no way. By the way, you're lucky you won a game with your superstars hitting that way, Joe.
Yeah, I agree. You can't have, Tatis going 0 for 4 and striking out three times, right? You can't have Machado leaving runner after runner on. This is what it is. As good as that bullpen is, and they were good, they still gave them a chance to win that game, Donnie. They held it down long enough to give themselves a chance, and they just couldn't get. If you can't score, you can't win. And unfortunately, this wasn't an overnight thing. The Padres, for all of the pitching and all the great arms they have, that hitting was absolutely atrocious the second half of the season.
You know what I love in big spots where everybody's tuned in, Joe? I've been a proponent for years. I don't care about personal feelings here. The game is better if we have an automatic strike zone where nobody gets upset because the call is correct every single time, and you live with winning, and you can live with defeat as well. The fact that we got to that ninth inning, and credit, we thought the Cubs were going to win this game. Oh, look, that's nice, a Jackson Merrill home run, no big deal at that point. If Bogart walks, the next two guys were hit by pitches here, you have a completely different scenario. But the fact that we don't have the ABS system involved yet, and I love the fact that it happened in such a big part. And if you watched, there were videos after the game where it looked like the San Diego Padres players and managers here were going to jump the umpires as they left Wrigley Field. But the fact of the matter is, we always like to go into things like, oh, just put your toe into the water and feel if it's warm. Why have an ABS system where you can challenge twice when you have full capabilities of including the strike zone to be perfect on every single pitch? I'm glad it happened yesterday. At least it didn't happen to my team or where I lost money on the situation. I loved it breaking down that way yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, and listen, it's all going to change next year anyway once they incorporate it into the mix, into what's going on, and it should. But again, you put all your eggs into that one inning basket. It's not the reason you lost this series, Padres, in any way, shape, or form. You could have taken. There were plenty of all of those things eventually even themselves out, Donnie, in a 162-game season. But the bottom line is, you had a starting pitcher that lasted 8 hitters.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, come on.
Get on him.
Come on, you Darvish, stop it.
I picked on the big bats in the lineup to start, but you, Darvish, as a veteran, give you one inning, and it wasn't like, hey, you know what? My hamstring got pulled. They gave you one inning. Nobody's out. Sorry, I left you hanging there. But no, you came in the game and left your team. And it's surprising that game wasn't 5-0 by the time Darvish got out. Credit that bullpen for getting out of that crazy bases loaded, no out situation here. But you talk about the superstars stepping up in big moments. We love to say it. The Padres went the absolute opposite there. Now, also, how about the New York Yankees? When you talk about superstars stepping up in the biggest moment, did you expect your superstar to be Cam Schlittler? He was phenomenal yesterday. 8 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, 5 hits against, no earned runs, 107 pitches, Joe. When you needed a hero, Cam was your hero.
Yeah. He was 24 years old, Donnie, and he is out of his mind last night. The kid was locked in. And I got news for you. Listen, it was a great Something tells me, Early and Schlittler here, we're going to have this battle over the next decade a lot with the Red Sox and the Yankees. But this kid was he was fearless, man. He's throwing pitches, triple digits every inning, even into the seventh inning, he was hitting there. Then he throws these ridiculous off-speed pitches. I mean, he had them guessing. He had them talking to themselves the entire time. And for the Yankees, listen, they took advantage of that big inning in the fourth. And quite honestly, when you got a guy like that out on the mound, the thing I was worried about, I'm like, oh, Boone's going to pull him. But Boone didn't get in his own way. He let the kid go out there for 8, and that was that. And then, Bednard comes in back-to-back. I think he pitched in all 3 games, in fact, here, and gets the door closed. So just like that, the Yankees advance in what was, all of the series should come down to what it did last night. But Schlittler is the star in the making here. I can't wait to see what he does with Toronto.
You're not going to win a game when you have one player and runner with scoring position. That's all you had for Boston. You went 0 for 1 here. Fantastic pitching performance. And by the way, Ryan McMahon, that tremendous catch here, flipping over the dugout stairs and basically giving his body up, popping right back up with an out. That shows you how badly some of these guys want to win and want to engrave themselves. Like, you know what? I chipped in the postseason for the New York Yankees, and a couple guys did that last night. Chipping in the future. Look at that. There it is. Upside down, Joe. And by the way, hold on now. Keep that picture up there. Look, I get it's a rivalry. It's still humanity. You're looking at the dude upside down. Like, you're not helping the guy. Like, come on, Joe. Really? What is this?
Yeah, no. He's already into the dugout. You see the picture of the guy's just like, hey, where'd this dude come from? Like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, which makes the catch even crazier, because if you're McMahon, you're selling out, but at the same time, you got to make sure that you don't crack your head open doing it. So kudos to him. And he didn't start in that game. He was a defensive replacement. So another good move by Boone there that he won't get credit for.
By the way, like, maybe if it's A-Rod, you just let him dump on his head in the dugout and you don't care about him. But come on now, Ryan McMahon seems like a good guy, nice guy at this point. By the way, nice guys always finish first. Nice guys don't make a lot of money. Alex Bregman's like, see you when I see you, baby.
Yeah. Well, we knew he going big game hunting, big contract hunting in the offseason here. And you know what? Somebody going to give it to him. Probably going to be Boston.
Yeah. Oh, Boston can afford it. Yeah, they've let a lot of good players walk. We'll see if they can sign this guy. You know, we signed here. Yeah. Tom Vecchio coming up next. Let's get some help with some of the biggest games coming up.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
Well, he came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Cignetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles, match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Early line, hour number one in full effect right here. What a big weekend we have. It's a football Friday, and we have some guests here that we have to get to. It's Sunny right side, as long with the ride is Joe Ranieri. And now we have Tom Vecchio joining us. The energy, is going to be high. We saw a crazy Thursday night football game, a wonderful Major League Baseball display. And this weekend, even better Major League Baseball, even more NCAA football, and more NFL football, Tom. It's a good time to be out here, isn't it?
It is. My Yankees advanced last night. That's always good to see.
Yeah.
As for football last night, didn't really go as I was expecting. Wasn't really anticipating that many points from the 49ers. But we got a full Sunday slate that starts early with that overseas London game.
It does start early. That's Carson Wentz and Dylan Gabriel, people. 9:30 a.m. Make sure you tune in here to the SportsGrid Network here. Pro Football Today will be live for an extra hour here, making sure we cover that overseas game. There are other games here on the homeland, which includes 1 o'clock. Who would have thought just a few short weeks ago, hey, I'm going to give you a little hint here. Boy, the Texans really stink at this point right now. Man, Ravens are on top of the world. Why are they getting points here in a football game against the Texans? Why? Because nobody feels like they're playing for the Baltimore Ravens. Cooper Rush is going to get the start over Lamar Jackson, and I think you have an edge on this game. Houston versus Baltimore, Tom. What are we doing here?
Yeah, this is a really interesting game. The Texans offense is terrible. The Baltimore Ravens defense is terrible. As I joked about the other day, like this is when a movable object meets a stoppable force. It's like we know exactly what we should be getting. So obviously Lamar Jackson not expected to play. Cooper Rush is going to be in there. I really expect the Ravens to turn to Derrick Henry in the backfield. So if we look at the Ravens offensive line stats, they are number one in the league in yards before contact per carry. Number one in the league. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. Then when we turn to the Texans defense, at least right now, they are third when it comes to EPA per pass allowed. They are phenomenal on defense. We know that their defense has not been the issue for them. So I don't think Cooper Rush dropping at a high volume should be the Ravens' game plan. I think they want to try and eke out a win 17-14, 20-17, whatever it might be. So let's go to Cooper Rush under 171.5 passing yards. Let's take it under 172.5. I did see it up there as well on a different book. Under that, again, give the ball to Derrick Henry, control the game, try to come away with the win. It doesn't matter how pretty or how ugly it is. You just need the win to get back on the right track.
Should be an interesting a backup quarterback again that we've got to look at. Seems like we're talking about a lot of backup quarterbacks, doesn't it? But what is going and years over the last couple of years, I thought Browning was actually a serviceable backup, but he's been kind of put into this ridiculous spot of you got no offensive line, you can't run the ball, and now you're going to ask him to drop back and throw. How many times, Tom? What are we going to get this week from Browning?
I would hope that it's better than what we saw over the past 2 weeks. And like you said, over the past few years, I actually thought he was like at least halfway decent. Like you could actually go out there and put up some yards. You may not be in a spot to win games with him on a consistent basis, but he could give you 252. Maybe he throws a pick or whatever. That's what I thought we were going to be getting from him. This year, I'm not really sure. So I like him under 33.5 passing attempts. And it really has to do more so about the Lions on the other side. They're going to be out in front. And also the Lions, they're running the ball at nearly 45% of the time. And with the running backs that they have with Gibbs and Montgomery, they're just going to be bleeding the clock. So as soon as they get up, you're going to need, 34 pass attempts from Browning to get over. If they have a 60-65 pass play percentage in that game, they're still going to be having 20-some-odd runs. You're expecting the offense to run nearly 60 plays, and they're going to be turning the ball into Browning's hands. I just don't see that happening. The Lions are eventually going to be up by 10 or 14 points, and they're going to bleed the clock out in this game. And it doesn't matter how bad Browning is. I just don't think he'll have the attempts.
It's another option on that, too, when you look at Jake Browning's under 33.5. You're also talking about he hasn't played well for 2 weeks. There's a chance that if they are getting blown out in this game, Tom, midway through the third quarter, he's not even the quarterback because they want to start getting looks at some other guys on the roster. Yeah. So I think that opinion makes sense because most people would say, wait a second, Tom, they're going to get blown out. He's going to throw 15 times in the fourth quarter. Tom, he might not even be the quarterback in the fourth quarter.
It's true. And frankly, Jared Goff may not be the quarterback in the fourth quarter. Their backup, is it still Hendon Hooker for Detroit? Or I don't know if he's still there, but like there's a realistic scenario that we have 60, 70 plus yards from both running backs. Goff throws for 215 and they put up 3-4 touchdowns, and the Bengals just can't do anything on offense. So they just pull all the starters.
Mike White. How about Mike White, Joe Ranieri, getting in that football game, huh? Come on now.
Oh, don't, please, under any circumstances. But I will say this. They're no good on the road, Cincinnati, but their only game this year they've been halfway decent and covered on is against Jacksonville at home. So it's going to be interesting to see maybe a little home cooking.
Yeah. Browning played in that game because I was Jags when Burrow got hurt. So if there's anything that you want to latch onto, that would be it with Browning.
Let's take a look at Miami and Carolina. Chuba Hubbard looks like he's not going to make it to the starting gate there with a calf injury, but I'll tell you right now, Devon Achane will be there going up against a porous defense there for the Carolina Panthers. Total 45.5. How do we attack the Miami Dolphins side of things?
So I want to say this is a spot to back the Dolphins, because I think the Panthers are terrible. The Dolphins, I want to say this started on the Thursday night game against Buffalo, where everyone, they're dead in the water. Buffalo's going to blow them out. There's no chance. Like, the Dolphins looked pretty good in that game. Like, they did. I know they lost, but they put up some points. They beat the Jets. They look good. Obviously, the Tyreek injury is massive for their offense. Achane's coming off a slow receiving game. But, how do you at least build some internal confidence? It's like, hey, we're not out of it yet just because we lost Tyreek Hill. It's like, let's just get the players moving on offense. Let's put up some yards. And I think that's where Achane comes into play. He's in for a bounce-back game. The Panthers' defense is not what I'm worried about. When you look at the passing offense for the Dolphins now, Achane still has over 20% target share. And that was before, obviously, accounting for the games that Tyreek Hill played. That should only be increasing with Tyreek Hill out now.
All right, let's get some quick Major League Baseball updates here. You are a Yankees fan, no question about it here, Tom. Yankees Blue Jays setting up 4:08 on Saturday. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I assume it's going to be Gausman and Fried, since just based on where the things stand. I would certainly be looking to take Fried under strikeouts, and I'll be backing the Blue Jays a lot. I'll be backing the Blue Jays in first 5 with their pitching, just as a pure emotional hedge, and then whatever happens, happens.
3-game series are so tough to handicap because all hands on deck. The 5- and 7-game series, much easier to handicap. Starting pitchers expected to pitch multiple innings, not just 2 innings at this point. So a lot of fun. Tom, thanks for joining us on a Football Friday right here, giving us the information we need to cash in some tickets this weekend. Donnie right side, Joe Ranieri. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
Well, he came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Signetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You love football. You love a good football Friday. I do too. Joe Ranieri does as well. It's what we do. We bring you the information you need to know for this weekend's games and actions. But don't you dare forget, there are 4 more series starting in Major League Baseball on a Saturday, Joe. We just talked to Tom Vecchio all day long Saturday. College football and Major League Baseball. It's a match made in heaven. Mix in a little SportsGrid network here and some in-game live, and voila, you got a nice baked cake, Joe. Come on.
There's no reason to leave the house, Donnie. There really is not. So get the chores out of the way, gentlemen. Whatever you got to do, get them done early, because there is no reason to leave the house this weekend.
No reason at all. But by the way, Joe, we're oddsmen here, as we like to say. We like to understand why some of these numbers are moving. For the final month of the season, the Phillies continue to gain momentum as the favorites to win the World Series. The Dodgers beat a bad Reds team, and all of a sudden people are like, yeah, Dodgers are the best team out there. Look at the odds to win the NL pennant. The Dodgers plus 190, the Phillies plus 250. I just want to start there. Like, the Phillies are rested, ready, and healthy now, and at home for a 5-game series. And they're like, yeah, Dodgers always been the best team. Just flip those odds back around. What's going on there? Why?
Why are the Brewers plus 320 is my question. I have no idea. They have the best record in all of baseball. Like, what am I missing here?
Point.
But listen, yes, the Dodgers, defending champs, they should be the favorites here. I think the Phillies in a longer series now, I hate to think it, Donnie, but I believe the Wheeler injury is going to rear its head here. And I think that might be, if the Phillies can't get past the Dodgers, it might be because they didn't have their ace going into this series.
Like, it is crazy, though. Like, the 2 home teams that were the better records during the season that don't have major injury concerns that just popped up like a week ago, right? Like, we knew Zach Wheeler was going to be out for a while. It's like, yeah, the Cubs won. They're hot. They should be able to, beat the Milwaukee Brewers. And, yeah, Dodgers didn't look all that good to end this. Don't worry about it. They beat the Reds. They're fine. They're going to beat the Philadelphia Phillies. If we do the same thing in the American League, Joe, the Yankees now are the favorites. Now, we predicted this. We said if the Yankees were going to beat the Boston Red Sox, they would reclaim the right, even though they don't have the best record, as the most bet team in the odds-on favorite, which would be a plus 155. Mariners plus 210, Blue Jays plus 320, Tigers at a 5-1 price. Nobody giving Scooble and the boys any looks here, Joe.
Yeah, no, nor should they. No, there is. I mean, they took on a team that can't hit their weight, and that is not going to be the case here in the next round against Seattle. So I think they're in trouble. But the reality is, listen, again, with the Yankees, like the Dodgers, good luck. They should be the favorites here. Don't forget they had the same record as the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays had the tiebreaker because they went 8-5 against the Yankees this year in the regular season series. So Yankees should be the favorite here, but that's why they play the games, Donnie.
Yep, the Elite Eight in Major League Baseball. Detroit going to take on Seattle, the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees, the Dodgers and the Phillies, and then the Brewers and the Cubs. Fantastic stuff in the anticipation of longer series this year in the divisional round. Should be a lot of fun to watch it play out. But these games will take place on Saturday. And if we start there, the primetime game, 6:38 p.m. from Citizens Bank Park, Red October. It's going to be a crazy environment. Shohei Ohtani going up against Christopher Sanchez. Fantastic. Did you know, Joe, the buy-in just to get into this game and sit in the worst seat or maybe standing room and not have a seat, Joe? $311, man. Boy, oh boy, those tickets are going up, huh?
Wow, that's crazy. Or you can sit on your couch and get every angle and the best feed in a 4K TV that you could possibly see. That would be my option, Donnie. Listen, this is going to be a hell of a series. I don't think it's going to be one that's going to be over quick. I think this has got 7 games written all over it. But it'd be interesting to see this extended rest, Donnie. Does it help? Does it hurt? Are the Dodgers just happy to have been playing a couple of games to fine-tune it up and keep rolling into Philly? I'm going to be interested to see this in these early games here in these series with these teams. They haven't played in a hot minute.
And by the way, rooting interest. Like, I am a Phillies fan. I am rooting for the Philadelphia Phillies. But I got to tell you, like, I would love to see the Phillies play the Cubs. I see baseball would probably like the Phillies, obviously an advanced bigger market. Same thing with the Cubs. And anybody play the Dodgers, which is a bonanza. But if we flip it over to the American League, look, I like Toronto. It's a good story. But it doesn't feel like we need the Yankees and the Mariners in the ALCS to sort of decide who the MVP is and have superstar after superstar, East Coast versus West Coast. Doesn't feel like that's what we actually need.
Yes, and I think that's what Major League Baseball would want as well, Donnie. It feels like that would be the absolute perfect situation right there. So, yeah, big markets. Dodgers, Yankees, round 2. Could it be? Or could the Phillies and Yankees be going at it?
You know what's going to happen, too. Mariners and the Yankees, where, like, Cal Raleigh has an awesome series and they win, and then Aaron Judge gets the MVP for what he did in the regular season. Make it happen, people. Hour number 2. We're making it happen next.